Clippers coach. Surprised, kind of because of his standing within the organization, his relationship with Steve Ballmer and all that. But from a performance standpoint, how could you be surprised? It was justified. It was period, the end. He's lost 3-3-1 leads with 3 different teams, the only coach in history to do that, 2 of them with the Lakers or with the Clippers. And he had finals contending talent, championship contending talent twice with the Clippers. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, J.J. Redick, other good role players failed to get out of the second round. This group this year failed to get out of the second round, underachieved consistently. Doc did overachieved when he didn't have the star talent, like last 2 years ago when they won 2 games against Golden State. But other than that, when he had the championship talent, he underachieved. He was brought in he replaced Vinny Del Negro, remember? He was brought in to get them further than Vinny Del Negro did, and he didn't. They never got past the second round. It was justified. Now, the question is, who's the replacement? I think it should be Mark Jackson. I think he'd be a great replacement. I think he's got the respect of players. He knows defense. He knows the game. He's not afraid to get on his stars. But I'm not confident that'll happen. I don't think it would. So I think it should be Ty Lue. Ty's won a championship. Coached LeBron. Wasn't afraid to get on LeBron. That's what this Clippers team needs. Yeah, they could use a big, a little more shooting, playmaking guard. But what they really need is a culture change from the coaching down. And so I think that's what they'll get with Ty Lue. He should get it if it's not Mark Jackson.
For the best stories, easy-to-find scores, and comprehensive team pages, plus access to every live Fox Sports game and exclusive bonus cameras, download the all-new Fox Sports app now.
Continue our breaking news here on SportsCenter. Doc Rivers has been fired after 7 seasons with the Los Angeles Clippers, and the undefeated Mark Spears reporting that the 76ers and the Pelicans have already reached out to Doc Rivers and are interested in the head coach. Now here is Doc Rivers after that Game 7 after losing to the Nuggets.
Did the expectations, were they ever too heavy for this team?
No, we didn't meet them. That's the bottom line. I'm the coach, and I'll take any blame for it. But we didn't meet our expectations, clearly. Because we had, in my opinion, we'd still be playing.
All right, we're going now to the Orlando bubble where Malika Andrews joins us. Now, you have been in the bubble. You saw that Game 7 loss, the Clippers to the Nuggets. So what was the feeling among Doc Rivers and the Clippers after being sent home?
Well, you just heard what he said, Ashley. They did not live up to the expectations that a lot of people had and that they had for themselves when coming into Orlando. They wanted to win a championship. That was a very achievable goal that they had in mind for themselves. And so Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, guy after guy just said they were disappointed, but they continued to say, but we have another year. We're going to learn from this. We're just going to get better. But clearly, Doc Rivers is not going to have that opportunity. But he said, that was not the only time that he said that he felt that any shortcomings should be placed on his shoulders. He said squarely that that's the way that it should be. But I would be remiss not to remind folks that Doc Rivers, while he was in the bubble, was also a fierce warrior for social justice, for racial equality. He brought that up in nearly every press conference. He said that it's something that he wanted to continue to do once he left, even though that platform would shrink just a little bit, or at the very least changed. He continued to push for voting and voting rights, but they fell a little bit short in the bubble, and so it was just disappointment when they left.
All right, thanks so much, Malika. Hang tight for more on the NBA Finals.
Doc Rivers.
Let's go to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen, what do you make of this news? Doc Rivers out with the Clippers after 7 seasons in Los Angeles.
Well, it's incredibly unfortunate, first of all. You understand to some degree, why he's gone, because when you've been coaching a team for 7 years and you haven't been to a conference finals. That's problematic. We understand that. But in this particular instance, when you consider the fact that he's one of the elite coaches in the game, when you consider the fact that they were coaching in a bubble, you had a team, you were coaching a team that basically voted not to be there, which means they didn't want to participate. You had guys like Montrezl Harrell missing about 33 days, Patrick Beverley missing about 18 days, numerous other players missing a slew of days because they were either injured or there were other things that were going on that prevented them from performing. You really didn't have a chance. And then when you consider what transpired in games 6 and 7, when in terms of high percentage shots and things of that nature, they were getting them and guys were just missing. Then you have a leader in Kawhi Leonard, the superstar that you acquired in the offseason, along with Paul George, two individuals that probably would not have come there had it not been for Doc Rivers being the head coach of the franchise, and they don't show up in the game 7. Then it's one of those situations, particularly when you're looking at Kawhi, who is as indifferent as they come in terms of his personality. He's going to work hard. He's going to go on the court. He's going to perform. He's never going to cheat you with effort. But in the end, can you be that leader that galvanizes troops? That was never Kawhi Leonard's MO. So all of those things being stacked against Doc Rivers, what I'm saying is that if he's going to lose his job, you know what, it would have been far more understandable had there never been an interrupted season and he lost under those conditions. But considering the fact that the season was interrupted and then you had guys, the Clippers and the Lakers were the only two teams that voted not to participate in the bubble and not to play, then they came back and played. And unlike the Lakers, you had guys missing games all over the place. For him to lose his job under those conditions are incredibly unfortunate for a coach of his stature. I don't like it at all.
And as you mentioned, this is a team with a couple of big superstars, a lot of good players that come off the bench, a team that I think a lot of coaches would love to coach. So who do you expect the Clippers to now pursue to take over for Doc Rivers?
I have no idea whatsoever because I had no idea. I mean, I suspected that Doc Rivers would probably lose his job because you heard the whispers and what have you. And you imagine all the guys that'll be out there clamoring for this opportunity. And I haven't spoken to Steve Ballmer about this, the billionaire owner for the Los Angeles Clippers as of yet, nor anybody within the Clippers organization, because this just came down. And obviously I wasn't working until I just heard the news. But in the end, I will tell you that any coach out there would want this job. Because Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, regardless of how they didn't show up in Game 7, the bottom line is they're stars in this league. And if you consider the plethora of other players that they have on this roster, you might be in need of a quintessential point guard, a literal floor general who can distribute the basketball and stuff like that. But outside of that, all the pieces are there. If they're highly motivated and focused and they want to play, they can beat anybody. Even though it didn't happen, they could still come back. My proposition was that they all come back this season.